Josh Bernstein is one of the good ones. So with that, I am going to shut up. I'm going to welcome the man, the myth, the legend, Josh Bernstein. Welcome to Politishock. Your first time. I'm ragtag as shit, and I do things differently here. But, sir, it is an honor to have you here because, again, I mean what I say. You are one of the OGs, and it's refreshing to be joined by somebody who isn't a newfound, I have intestinal fortitude patriot, liberty, liberty, liberty. One of the ones who's actually been in the game for a long time. One of the ones that has actually been fighting for truth, for your frickin', what the title says, liberty. Conservative values, common sense values, but realistically, just having enough balls to speak truth to power and being banned everywhere. And when I say banned, this is whoa, my head got even bigger. When I say banned, it's not like, one of these in fashion, in vogue bannings, like, oh my God, I was suspended. Everybody feel bad for me while they still make their millions. You were legitimately everywhere and then wiped out. And now you found your own way to come back. And God willing, going forward, we're going to have new and creative ways to really get you out there. So, sir, welcome to the show. It's an honor to have you. And please introduce yourself to the world.
Yeah, thank you again for having me on. It's an honor and a privilege to be on the program with you. My story is, probably a little different from some others, maybe not. I don't know. About 2 weeks before the election, I was showing votes being switched live on CNN in the Andy Beshear, Matt Bevin, Kentucky governor's race. And CNN was literally taking 5,000 votes away from Matt Bevin and giving them to Andy Beshear in a split second. And at the time, I was showing that in real time and slowing it down and circling it and slowing it down. The video had about 989,000 views in less than 36 hours. And from that, I lost both of my YouTube channels in less than, a day, I guess. And so from there, I was trying to tell people, look, this is going to happen in 2 weeks. Now, remember, this is 2 weeks before the 2020 election. And I'm telling everyone, look, this is going to happen. All the votes are being counted offshore. They're not in the United States. They're not in their counties. They're not in the county recorder's office. They are in Spain. They are in Venezuela. They are offshore where we can't keep an eye on all the votes. You had Smartmatic, SGO, you had Seidel, of course, you had Dominion, all of these different companies that are counting our votes. And so when I said that, of course, I was completely shut down. And then about maybe 3 or 4 days later, James O'Keefe was doing an expose. I've had him on my show years ago as well, good guy. And he was doing an expose in Minnesota, or St. Paul, Minneapolis, or as I like to call it, Little Mogadishu, the largest Somali population in the entire world outside of the country of Somalia. And Ilhan Omar, or Ilhan Noor Saeed Elmi, her real name, the chief of staff for her, was running a ballot harvesting operation out of, that area of Minneapolis, Minnesota. And so we were exposing it. It was like a 24, 25-minute video. They cut it down to 40 seconds. It made me sound like, a crazy person. But not only did I talk about that, but I talked about where she came from. See, the lie about Ilhan Omar is that somehow she came to America because of war-torn Somalia for a better life. That is all bullshit, 100% bullshit. She was war-torn Somalia. Her father, Muhammad Nuar, was the propaganda minister for Saeed Bayar's dictatorship, which was in the process of being overthrown. So if they didn't steal the Omar name in Somalia somewhere, or if they didn't pay for it and lie on their N-400 immigration forms, have you ever been or ever associated with an authoritarian, totalitarian regime? No, that's bullshit. And so he was the propaganda minister, her father was. So they came to the United States because if they didn't leave Somalia, this is what people don't understand, they would have been executed, okay? Because they were the regime that was killing people, and now a new regime was coming in to take out the people that were killing people, okay? So that's the whole truth on her. And of course, she's one of only 2 people in the DFL, which is a radical extreme party, basically, the Democratic Farmers League or some crazy stuff in Minnesota. She was one of 2 that voted for female genital mutilation, which is basically a clitorectomy, right? I'm sure the women would love that, right? So that's what's going to happen. God forbid this Mandani takes over New York and starts doing forced clitorectomies and everything else. Who knows? I mean, I'm sure in Brooklyn and Queens and everything else, you're going to hear the call to prayer, which is going to make people sick at 4:30 in the morning, but I digress. So what happened from there is I exposed her. I exposed where she came from. I exposed her family. I exposed how she came into Congress, how she's associated with CARE, which is a terrorist organization designated as such as by the United Arab Emirates in 2014. And I said she should be investigated, she should be arrested, and she should be convicted. And if so, she should be sent to jail for the rest of her life, or better yet, executed. Well, that's all I had to say. From there, Josh Bernstein calls for the execution of Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. So, of course, they took what I said out of context. You've got idiots like Mustachio, what's his name? The guy on Fox News, I think Geraldo Rivera, putting at FBI, arrest this punk, right? Then she retweets the articles that were written by Newsweek and every other left-wing rag, all these prostitutes in the media, as I like to call them on my show. So they're all writing all about it. And the next thing you know, I'm on Amazon Prime. I lose my Amazon Prime show. I'm on Roku Television. I lose my Roku TV show. Of course, YouTube was already gone. Twitter or X or whatever it was back then, Facebook, LinkedIn, even Discus. I couldn't even comment anymore. I wasn't even allowed to log in to comment anymore. And then Patreon canceled me. They all canceled me, basically. Within a 48-hour period, I was ghosted. I went from millions upon millions upon millions of people, followers, watchers, to literally nothing almost overnight. Found myself in a situation where I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do now? So I started my own website. This is about 5 years ago. And it was a good website. I called it Josh Bernstein Uncensored, as a giant, you know what, to the establishment that was censoring me. And I had it for a long time. I had a lot of people that were on it and everything else, and it was good. But it just got too expensive. I ended up with 15 levels of security on that website. I had higher security than the infrastructure of the country of Norway, okay? One person in the United States couldn't speak freely unless I had 24/7, 365 security in another country. And so it just got too expensive. And after, $164,000 in 37 DDoS attacks from China, Belarus, Russia, Ukraine, Canada, I'm the one that helped start the Canadian truckers convoy, folks. And so I was attacked by all of these people, and it got too expensive. So once Trump won, and once I wrote my book, Preserving Liberty, Bold and Brave Solutions to Save America and Create Permanent Freedom, again, available on Amazon, shameless plug. But once that happened, I was like, all right, I need to do something else here. Where can I go on social media? I mean, there was nowhere for me to go but Substack. And so Substack, I have found, not only do they help promote you, but they also don't censor. At least I haven't had any issues with censorship there. So folks, if you really want the truth, unabated truth, in your face with the subtleness of a sledgehammer, please join my Substack. At $4 a month is $49 a year. That equates to 18% off of the lowest amount possible, which is only $4.08 a month. And you'll get a free PDF copy of my book, which is a $12.99 value. All right, I'm done doing shameless plugs. But that's kind of been my story. That's a little bit shorter version of it, but that's where I'm at now. And I'm working on a second career comeback. And hopefully, Dan and I are going to definitely have many more of these types of shows together. And I'm hoping to have my show on the network as a featured show with him. And we're going to collaborate together, and we're going to grow it and make it all big for both of us and for the entire VOP family. And it's going to be great. So I'm excited, and I'm full of piss and vinegar and ready to go, man.
Fuck yeah. I love it, man. You know what? It's funny because my longtime audience knows, and I was screaming about it, and I played videos of Governor Bevins from Kentucky. Before the election ever happened, he was actually warning people that he's going to lose the election. And people said, Bill O'Reilly actually said that, Governor, you're so popular. Why are you trying to shoot yourself in the foot? You're trying to make yourself set up to lose. Like, what are you doing? You're crazy. You're going to win easily. That man actually was awesome, and he warned people about what was coming. That was the test case for 2020 when they stole that shit.
Absolutely. And I call Bill O'Reilly, I call him Bill O'Reilly because I think he's full of shit.
Yes, absolutely. And he's whatever. I go on and on about him, but it's refreshing to hear that because nobody even knows what the hell I'm talking about. So you have that, and you have everything else that transpired from that point. And, I know all too well about what it is to be banned and taken down everywhere. And it's interesting because, what they did to you was obviously deliberate, as we say, over the target. It's refreshing. I look at it as a badge of honor. Or how many other places can I get banned? How many other places can I get censored? How many other places can I, at this point it's like, oh, well, and then you have our friends, our friends on the likes of Rumble, which I'm not going to knock because they've been better to me than most. But at the same time, oh, well, we would love to have sponsors, and we just, but you need to have 50,000 followers, and you need to have social media with 50,000 followers. Now I'm sending them numbers of here's our listeners, here's 4.2, 6.1, all these millions of people listening to the show live, everything else. But no, it's all about that illustrious social media number, right? That's all people care about. It's a facade. It's fake. It's bullshit, right? So we need to be the ones to move past it and simply focus on what's next. While you have all these douchebags sitting here, all, circle jerking each other and who's going to be the pivot man tonight, and everybody fighting against everybody else. They're all competing on these same platforms that are overcrowded, talk about the same bullshit. We can do something different. We could talk about the real issues in a different, unfiltered way where we don't have to worry about getting censored. We don't have to worry about getting taken down. And that's what the world needed. You see a problem, create a fucking solution. And when you pay out of pocket, yeah, people are like, well, how come the network's not there faster? How come it's not this? Well, I got to say to them, it's fuck you, build your own network. This shit's expensive. When we do the work.
Especially the security. Security is going to be 99.999% of all of the costs. And if it isn't, then you're not saying the right things because you should be getting attacked daily. I mean, I was getting 10,000 attacks a day on my website at some points, but it gets very, very expensive.
Extremely expensive. So it's a beautiful thing, so what they did to you, I'm surprised they waited as long as they did because you've been you long before. But again, we have to play into the whole cycle of things. So they just took a little bit longer to get to you. And I think
it was about 2017 they started to demonetize my YouTube channels. And they figured, well, we'll just cut off his money and then, he'll go away, right?
Yeah.
But then what did I do? Well, I was smart. I would have an ad at the end of every single show, and I'd say, hey, if you support my show, they demonetize me here on YouTube. Please go to my Patreon where you can support me. And so I was doing that and redirecting people to there. But then, of course, once Patreon shut me down, I was kind of, shit out of luck, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, they want to put you on no man's land, like, oh, he doesn't exist anymore. That's their
exactly.
That's what they want so damn badly. And we've had a gentleman by the name of Chris Gleason. I got to introduce you to. He is another OG, and he explained and showed he is somebody very well connected and has great resources, if you will. And he exposed live on the air, the how they steal the votes and how they ferry the money and everything else and the Smurfs and all the other shit in real time. But he also showed where people like himself, me, and inevitably you, how we were banned and how they did the listings all the way back. For us, it was 2011 was the first time they put me on their blacklist, if you will. But it's very interesting that when you actually look into the depths of this shit. But there's so much to get into. But, one of the things I think is impressive is that when real keeps going and pushing through it, that's what has my respect, because these other assholes that cry victim and cry censorship, they're from money. 90% of them are fucking psyops anyway. And, they're just doing it to play their part. Keep everybody on the string.
There's a lot of controlled opposition out there, let's face it. They'll go as far as they can, and then all of a sudden their advertisers call them and go, hey, you're not really going to say that again tomorrow night, are you?
Yes.
Well, I'm so sorry about that. Here, let me kiss the ring. That's what ends up happening. And that happened with a lot of these people on a lot of these different networks. I don't have any ads interrupting what I'm doing. As a matter of fact, I don't run commercials. I'm not selling dick pills and all the rest of the bullshit out there that a lot of these idiots are doing. It's pure content. If you want pure content without any interruptions, that's what I offer. And I've always been like that.
I love that. We could whore ourselves out to the precious gold people and the supplement companies, and everybody is the wellness center, the wellness company, whatever. Oh, everybody use my discount code. It's horse shit. I mean, we threw it up there at the time. I thought it was cool. When I met the man, he was awesome. Mike Lindell. He gave us, you need a coupon code. I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. And he sent us a whole bunch of free My Pillow stuff, which I never had anybody do that for us. I'm like, wow. And when Mike,
I've interviewed Mike a few times. He's a good guy. And what they did to him is terrible.
Yes.
I mean, they went after this poor guy, who has overcome so much from being a crack addict to a devout Christian to running a very successful business. And just because he tried to stop voter fraud, they wanted to destroy him. So I do understand in some respects, why someone like that would reach out to alternative media and do discount codes and things like that, because we want to help each other, right? We want to help everyone that's being, victimized basically by the elites and everything else. But I don't like the ads because I don't like something interrupting me, especially if I'm on a roll, if I'm on a tangent, whatever. I don't want to be like, oh, I'll be right back. And then, I have a commercial about whatever. It breaks kind of the momentum and of an actual show. And then people have to fast forward it and all that. So I have never done that my entire career. The only time I've ever done ads is a banner on the bottom that would scroll for businesses and things like that. And I would tell people, look, I'm not going to do, a video ad. And I've done voiceover work. I know how to go, hey, Josh Bernstein here. Let me tell you about this product, blah, blah, blah. But I don't normally do that. And so I don't like it. It interrupts the flow of the show.
Damn straight. And I think that's 100% correct. And also when you're loyal to yourself and beholden to no masters, I think it goes a long way, because that's the thing. And like you said, and I'm happy you brought it up, because I look forward to this future and us doing work together. And realistically, again, it'd be an honor to have you featured on this network, because I really, quite frankly, hey, we're on the Rokus, we're on the that Fire, whatever the fucking bullshit is. And it'll be great to have you back where you belong, just in a different fashion, but it's the same pure, uncensored, unbridled freaking rawness, which is what's needed. And this is what it's all about.
And that's how we win.
Yes.
That's how we kick them in the nuts. You know what I mean? And that's important, because all these people out there that attacked me, Right Wing Watch mainly, Newsweek. I mean, I had people wishing me death when I had COVID in 2022. And then I did a video fighting back against them, calling them every single name you could imagine, their mothers and everything else. But bottom line is, they want us dead. And if conservatives don't understand that this new breed of left-wing communists out there, they're not interested in debate. Obviously, ask Charlie, right? They're not interested in debate. They're not interested in hearing what we have to say. They want us dead. And we need to understand that. And we need to go about our lives as if everybody on the left wants us dead. Because if we're able to do that, then we're going to be a lot more successful, and we're going to be able to fight back in a way that's cautious, but also more safe. And I think that's important.
And that's so damn true, because, and I remember, I wonder, back when I held rallies before it was cool, right? From 2006 to 2010, we're out there doing the illegal immigration bullshit and everything else. And we had those people that would, threaten you online, and they show up at your rallies and they'd attack people. You know what we did? When they hit us, we beat the shit out of them, and we did not give a flying fuck. It's called, I don't preach violence, but I preach defend yourself. Why do we have so much pussification? I know why. I know the shell game. I know what they've done, but we have so much of this. Oh, well, let me get my phone out. Don't resort to their level. Don't. Fuck that. Are we a nation of cucks? I mean, you have to. If somebody hits you, Yeah, turn the other cheek to wind up and beat them to submission and send a statement. And I'm not saying go out and hurt people. I'm saying it's time to be raw, bold, fearless, and show some damn nuts. You know, we use our words as our
Exactly.
power, right?
We do, obviously. And look, I've been calling now for the longest time for not only Antifa to be called a terrorist organization, which finally that has happened with the Trump administration, but who was behind this Zoran the Moron, Kami Mandani? It was the Democrat Socialists of America, the Communist Party USA. These are subversive communist organizations that need to be designated as terrorist organizations. Because if the Trump administration does designate them, guess what? There's no more mandamis anymore, because now the tools of the trade change, and now you can go after who's funding them, where they're getting their money from, who their international terrorist friends are. Now all of a sudden you're shutting down communism. Now, would it be I guess a controversial move to denaturalize him before he takes office? Hell yeah, it would. But so what? If you don't stop a commie now, then there's going to be more commies all around everywhere else. And I said that as soon as he was running. I was saying that right from the start. And then you had the idiot that looks like Captain Phillips' attacker in Minnesota. Thankfully, he lost. Now you got another one. You got a Chinese CCP Chi-Com running for Los Angeles mayor. Another commie. You got Hakeem Jeffries now has another commie coming after him. So what I'm saying is you got to put your boot on their throat and not let up. Because if we let up and we allow these people to run all around the country, now it's going to get real dangerous. And you know what they say, the only way to get out of communism is to shoot your way out of it. And that's the last thing we want.
Damn straight. And you're 1,000% correct. And we have to be bold enough and brave enough to call it for what it is. Call it out for what it is. Because if you don't, if you pussyfoot around like these other I'm so fearless fucking assholes on all your other news networks, right? They act like they're really hitting the nerve, but they're not. They're just, they want to tiptoe and play the game and rage bait you, or I hate the term. There's two words, one saying gaslighting and the other one is niche. I hate those two. Anyway, but what they're doing is essentially gaslighting people, but listen to my show because I'll say what you really want to say as long as it's safe and secure. And that reminds me, sir, I have to stop you and do a little. You'll appreciate this. Cover your ears though. I want to do a little ad here. All right, a little spoken PSA. Because I noticed it's been 39 minutes since I started my show and I fucked up. I swore to do this every 5 minutes. So here to the America first, America only, a MAGA, real MAGA. Let me meet my quota. Jew. Okay, now to the other side, Mr. Bernstein happens to be Jewish. So obviously
That's right.
we're on the side and BB sent us. So there, I've now placated both sides. You're welcome. Yeah.
Well, I always say people like Bernie Sanders, these are self-hating Jews, Nonads Nadler or Noxious Nadler, as I like to call him, Rahm Emanuel. So many of these idiots are self-hating Jews. And you know what happens is they give real conservative Jews like myself a bad name. And then, of course, we get lumped in as, all these people that are all on the same thing, but we're really not. I mean, I always say this all the time. Yes, I'm Jewish. Both parents are Jewish. I had a bar mitzvah. I'm a practicing Jew from that standpoint, but I'm a hell of a lot closer to Christian conservatism than I am liberal Judaism, because I understand if the shit ever hit the fan in this country and there was a Muslim invasion or a communist invasion, you really think the Jews are going to protect us? Nope. Hell no. It's going to be the Christians. It's going to be the evangelical right that love Israel. Those are the people that are going to protect this nation. Those are the ones that send their boys to fight in our wars. And it's about time that American Jews, these liberal leftist scumbags, actually wake up and realize that. There is truly a difference. I'm the type of guy that during the Christmas time, if you say happy holidays to me, I'm going to lose my shit. Okay? I'm going to tell someone and say, hey, we're a Christian nation. Thank God we are. Please say Merry Christmas. Don't you dare call it winter break. Call it Christmas break. That's how I am. That's how I'll always be. And again, I fight against these liberal leftist Jews all the time. I've been attacked by so many of them. How can you say that you're a Jew and this and that? Well, yeah, I am. But I also understand why you people are leftists. And it really kind of boils down to Jews being the chosen people. In the Bible, in the Torah, we are the chosen people.
Mm-hmm.
And so as the chosen people, we are typically, not always, but typically the upper echelon of society. We're more wealthier, we're more educated, and all those things. And so what happens is Jewish guilt sets in. And Jews have a lot of guilt for being the chosen people. So what ends up happening from that point is they want to vote for the little guy, for the less fortunate in society, because they want to bring them up to their level. But what they don't understand is by supporting those people, Democrats in particular, they're the most anti-Semitic. So it ends up turning into what I call a suicide vote, right? And so it doesn't make any sense. So that's really, truly why Jews are more liberal, because the Torah tells them in Tikkun Olam to, quote, heal the world. And that brings them to a system of humanitarianism. So maybe they're not inherently and purposefully communist, but it's their behaviors and their actions that turn them into communists, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely. No, I love it. And, breaking the fourth wall here, we had a conversation, over the weekend, and we were talking about the other side of it as well, where they talk about, how everybody's, that's the cool thing. You got to be, hating Jews now. That proves you're America only, or whatever the fuck it is. And, it blows my mind. They say we got to beat the deep state. But I've corrected many times for a long time. It's called the Zionist intelligence state, the same way there's, it goes worldwide. It's about the Mossad. They're not that great of an organization, much like the CIA, much like there's good and bad. I don't have to hate everybody or hate a whole religion or hate a whole sect of people because there's bad there. It's just, and it's how people don't understand how stupid they look. In the new intro we have, we have a whole segment in there where it's just nonstop Jew. And I literally say in there, and you wonder why you literally have them. Well, why do they call us all Nazis? Jew. I don't understand it. Jew. And of course I'm referring to, something that I've shit out bigger that like Nick Fuentes, it's like, I don't understand this push. I do, because you and I understand what they're doing behind the scenes and how they're using these people as props to divide and everything else. But if you would, what is your take on what they're doing now, how they're trying to divide a base and play the whole game and prop up the little anorexic fat cuck boy, Nick Fuentes, and all those, the Groypers? What the fuck kind of name is that? Maybe I'm old
exactly.
and I don't, like, what, a groiper? Isn't that somebody? That's a groper, I guess. But
yeah.
Anyway.
Well, look, people like Fuentes. I mean, that little cuck bastard. That's what he is. He's a commie. He's a Nazi.
Yes.
He's not a conservative. Most of these people are not conservatives.
Nope.
And look, I'm America first. Okay, always America first.
Amen.
I'd say Israel second, but I'm America first. And again, I have no desire to go to Israel. I don't want to get blown up, by Hamas or anything like that. So for my take, it's what's good for this country, what's good for America. And I don't believe in a lot of the foreign spending, not just from Israel's standpoint, but in Ukraine and many of these other countries. We don't want to be the policemen of the world, right? See, they say that nationalism, or you're a white nationalist. Okay, yeah, that's right. I'm white. There's no question about it. I got white skin. I'm white. And yes, I'm a nationalist. So what's wrong with being a white nationalist? That means that I want what's best for America. And you know what? Being a nationalist is not a dirty word. Russia, if you're Russian, if you're listening in Russia right now, you should be a Russian nationalist. You should want what's best for Russia. If you're from Spain, you should be a Spanish nationalist. If you're from, any other country around the world, you should want what's best for your country before any other country. There's nothing wrong with that. And so that's why I hate globalists. I hate globalism, because what globalism does is basically erase borders. It erases culture. And look at what's happening in Western Europe. All these people that are coming into Western Europe from these Muslim countries and all these other different countries, they are changing the overall aspect of the countries. All of the countries in Western Europe, you've got these no-go zones and everything else. You got the rape gangs, the groomer gangs, all this other crazy shit. And so what happens? The natives that are the Europeans in those countries are now the minorities. And because their birth replacement rate is not at least 2.0, which is 2 people per household, what happens? The Muslims are coming into the country unabated, unchecked, unvetted, brought in by the liberal leftist scum governments and globalists through the Brussels and European Union. And remember, European Union, you don't have control over your borders anymore. If you're part of that European Union, you get no say. It's just open borders. So if you're part of it, the EU, they bring you in, and guess what happens? They outbreed you. What they can't do to you militarily, they will just outbreed you. And we will not let that happen in the United States of America. And I'll give you the reason why. Okay? The Second Amendment. We have 430 million guns in the hands of 122 million Americans, of which 42% of households have more than one firearm. So what Europe doesn't have, what Australia doesn't have, what New Zealand doesn't have, what many other countries don't have, which is a robust Second Amendment, that in and of itself will keep this country safe.
Amen. That's why when people ask me what's the most important amendment, of course you naturally want to say the first, but it's the second.
Yeah,
the second's there to protect the first.
It goes down to what I call the reason versus force argument. Okay, if you have force, it forces your government to use reason. If you don't have force, then there's no reason for your government to deal with you in any other way other than with force. That is why the Second Amendment should be the First Amendment. Technically, you're right, because it protects all the rest of the amendments. And it's sad. It truly is sad. I talk to patriots in Australia. I do Australian television all the time. Great, great people. And these poor people are suffering. Why? Because they handed in their guns, because they don't have a Second Amendment. People in Europe, the same thing. And the bottom line is, if they don't have guns, they're going to have knives, right? That's why you're seeing all the stabbings and everything else happening all over Europe. You got to have a Second Amendment. And I say this all the time. I don't believe in gun laws. The only permit that you need is the Second Amendment in the United States of America.
Amen. That's perfectly spoken, because that is the most powerful thing that we have. And same difference. We have a lot of supporters, a lot of people that check in from Australia, from New Zealand, from so many countries all over the world. And it's sad. You go back to it. Again, I have no idea why this show is on YouTube tonight. I hit the wrong button, but I'm surprised it's still running.
It won't be on long.
It won't be long, no. But
with my name attached to it.
Hey, you and I both.
Yeah, exactly.
I made a promise to Hollis that I wouldn't touch the YouTube thing, and I have no idea how I hit the button. So sorry, Hollis. But during the COVID bullshit, we've seen what happened when the people, when they were in the streets, when they were doing what America should have been doing, they're out there protesting, they're getting arrested, getting their doors kicked in the middle of the night, getting taken away. This is because they don't have that right to defend themselves. They don't have those guns. So they have the boot on the neck against them, and that's our future. And what people need to understand is the rest of the world, when you have the farmers standing up, the truckers in Canada, all these different countries standing up, going out in the streets, getting arrested, getting beat down. In some places, the cops standing with them and the military standing with them. Other places, not so much. You know what? They're sitting there. They're setting the standard for what protest looks like. And they're wondering, where the fuck is America? And now, granted, a lot of this was the previous 4 years of, the pedophile in chief. But, nevertheless, they're wondering, this is the country that's born of rebellion, that is born out of rebellion. Why aren't we emulating them? Why aren't we picking up that mantle and running with it? Why aren't we taking to the streets? I said on January 6th when I was there, the great PSYOP, the one thing that made me happy was when our phones were blocked, they put out that little notification that Congress had been evacuated, right? Through the tunnels. Imagine that. But I thought to myself, obviously knowing what it was, but in that one little moment, I thought, this is a great day, because for once, even if it was just for play, right? Especially there in a moment, you don't know everything, but the government fearful of the people. That's the way it should be, as the saying goes, right? When the government, right? When people fear their government, when the government
fears the people, there is liberty.
Amen.
When the people fear the government, there is tyranny.
And
I'll say this about January 6th. November 3rd, 2020 was the insurrection.
Yes.
January 6th, 2021 was the cover-up and the Fedsurrection. And anyone that thinks differently from that is not paying attention, because clearly we know, and now it's already been proven, that it was indeed a Fedsurrection. So basically what happened? Well, they realized that when the people were there and showing up, they entrapped them, basically.
Yes.
That's what they did, because they knew that Congress was going to vote. And if they did, remember, the House of Representatives gets one vote. Every state gets one vote. We had more Republican legislatures in the country by 5 or 6 than Democrats at that time. So it would have been when the House of Representatives, so in other words, California gets one vote, New Jersey gets one vote, Arizona gets one vote, Alaska gets one, everyone gets one vote. And however many more legislatures are controlled by Republicans or Democrats, that's how that one vote would go for the state. Well, guess what? There's a hell of a lot more red states than there are blue states. And so President Trump would have come out of that vote, and he would have won the election, which we already know he won the election. It was 410 to 118, according to Mike Lindell and the cybersecurity people at 4:34 in the morning on election night, until they switched everything. But I digress. And so what would have happened at that point? President Trump would have won by about 5, maybe 4 legislative votes. And basically the Fed said, we can't have that. We have already stolen the election. We've already told everybody to stop counting. We've already pulled suitcases out from underneath. We've already lied about, water main breaks. We've already done all these different things and putting pizza boxes up over the windows. We have already stolen this election. We can't let that get undone by the House of Representatives, which of course would have voted for President Trump. So they needed a backup plan. What was the backup plan? Well, pretty simple. We know what the backup plan was: to start a riot inside the Capitol and blame it on Republicans and blame it on conservatives, and then prosecute them with bullshit charges. I mean, if they really wanted to make an issue of this, they could have given every single person a $500 trespassing ticket. Okay, see you later, be on your way. No, they wanted pain. They wanted fear. And so what did they do? Jack Smith, or Jack Off Smith, as I like to call him on my show, and the rest of these idiots, they decided to use impeding the flow of a congressional proceeding, violent entry, obstruction, all this other bullshit to jump up these charges against these people. How dare you fight back against us for stealing your election? What gives you the right to come after us for stealing your election? That was the mentality of these scumbags. And thankfully, these people have been pardoned. Jake Lang's been on my show a bunch of times. Great guy. A lot of these folks have been pardoned, thankfully. And most of them are keeping their nose clean. But you know what? A lot of them are doing a class action, and they're coming after these scumbags that did what they did. I mean, prosecutorial misconduct, malicious prosecution, deprivation of rights under color of law, you name it. They have violated so many of their civil rights and committed so many crimes. I just hope that the Reichstag Committee, as I like to call the J6 committee, gets taken care of as well, because these folks deserve millions upon millions upon millions of dollars for what their government did to them.
Amen. I mean, it was the worst attack since 9/11, don't you know? The evil protesters. It's funny. A friend of mine, I'm going to give him a shout out. Frank Scavo is his name. He got the buses for us in Northeast Pennsylvania, and we went down. And I apologize if you hear background noise. I'm in a place that has multiple studios, and of course, the band decided to show up next door. I just called that my homemade soundtrack. Anyway, but he actually ended up going to prison, and he did nothing wrong except going inside. And when I knew enough when I was there, and people were like, look, we're going in, we're taking the Capitol. I literally said, fuck you, psyop. I knew better, but it's amazing to me. And I think what I'm going to do is, I still have all my videos. Somehow they lasted, my videos from that day. And I do plan on airing them finally, as I promised for so long, but they all need to go down. And we need, and you want to talk about a constitutional crisis. What's going to happen when they start really pulling layers back and really going deep into 2020? Because it's coming, people. It's coming. And we're going to have a real fucking shitstorm coming when they really show you in the ways that you, even the dumbasses, can't deny. Wow, 2020 was literally nothing.
An administration does not put up a fence and do an outside, inauguration, a fake inauguration behind fencing if they think they're legitimate. Okay?
Yes. And also deploying the military as well with, to keep the American public away from the people's house. Now, I was most proud that day on J6 as I started the chant, whose house, our house. Because, again, God forbid the people show up at their capital because we are the enemy. We are the ones. And, kind of backtrack a little on your show prior that I was able to come on tonight and join you for the first time. And thank you again for that. I want to talk about that. But, it was something that you would, one of your guests were talking about. Something that pisses me off more than anything else in the world is Congress senators having the immunity when they say shit from the floor of the Congress. That pisses me off more than anything else in the world. So these bastards, the representatives of the people, get to go on the floor of the House, the floor of the Senate, and say whatever they want to say, lie, commit treason, essentially, and they have immunity. But we, the people, do not. Why?
Exactly. Yeah, look, we talked about this. What they did as former military members was an act of seditious conspiracy. You're literally undermining the president of the United States, and you're telling people in the military to disobey their orders. But remember, these were unspecified. They didn't even say what they were. They just blanket statement saying, don't listen to the president. I'm sorry. That's seditious conspiracy, which is USC 182384. And yes, they should be charged. I don't think they will, but they should be charged. And if they're thinking that it's because of these Venezuela drug cartel boats, I'm sorry, but under the president, under the executive branch, and under the Military Use Authorization Act, the president has a right to repel certain people that are coming into our country to invade us or harm us. And so you are allowed to do that. So I don't know what they're talking about, because the legal ramifications here are the fact that he is in the right to blow up these drug boats. And, these are military people. These are not just members of Congress. You have a former Army Ranger. You have someone that was a CIA operative in what's her name? Alyssa Slutnik, we'll call her, yeah. Right? You have you have an astronaut in Mark Kelly, the one that likes to fly a CCP flag on his motorcycle and drive around Phoenix, that bald-headed prick. Mm-hmm. No offense, I'm bald too, but whatever. And so, yeah, it's just amazing when you think about what they have said, and yet President Trump rightfully calls them out on it, and now all of a sudden he's the bad guy? He's the one that's the problem? Come on.
Well, he's calling for congressmen and senators to be hung, don't you know?
Yeah. The deep state is upset that they're going after the deep state. So yes. The deep state says, don't listen to the military, which is another form of the deep state, basically running things behind the scenes, trying to cause havoc like that and trying to get the military to listen to them. It's sick. It's twisted.
It's disgusting. It is a continuous psyop. These bastards they'll never give up. They're cornered now, but they'll never give up. And I truly believe in my heart, and I'm curious, what you think, but I think President Trump, everything's a long game with him. Mm-hmm. And I think that he's going to go balls out, and he's going to do everything that he possibly can. I do think we're in a situation now. And again, everybody knows me. They know I support the man. I've supported the man my entire life. What can I say? But, some things he doesn't do right. Some things I think he's great. And I support the man no matter what. But no matter, he needs to do everything that he possibly can, because he knows that this is setting the stage for the future. You have the scumbag Bushes, there's some bull. I don't even know the whole story about them. They're going to reclaim power of the Republican Party, whatever. I mean, fuck them. I don't even care. You know, they're irrelevant at this point. They're old hag bastards, absolutely irrelevant. But what Trump needs to do, and what I think he's going to do, and I think a lot of things will happen before July 4th, because that 250 number is big for him. I think he's going to start really stepping up the game and going all out, because what are they going to do?
Yeah.
If these go ahead.
I think that what's happening right now with these indictments and things like that, you know, you have Tish James, you have, you know, Eric Swallowswell, as I like to call him, Fartswell, whatever you want to call him, all these different people, from James Comey and of course Clapper and John Bolton, all the rest of them, on the individual map as far as their indictments and things like that. If they stay in Washington, D.C., they're not going to be convicted, because Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia, or the District of Criminals, as I like to call it, they're not going to convict their own. So you have to get the case moved to Florida. How do you get the case moved to Florida? You create a criminal conspiracy. You see, the fatal mistake of the deep state was still going after Trump and going into Mar-a-Lago. Mar-a-Lago was the fatal mistake. Why? Because it gets rid of the statute of limitations, number one. And number two, a criminal conspiracy does not have a statute of limitations. So if you can get the case to be heard and the grand jury to be convened in the state of Florida, now you're going to get some convictions. And I'll tell you right now, James Comey and the rest of these folks that have already been charged with one or two, there's going to be superseding indictments, okay? This is I always say this on my show when people get frustrated, how come there's not all these arrests and things like that? I always say the same thing. You got to be patient, because justice done right doesn't happen overnight. It does take time, because, you know, do you want to get them arrested right now and everything else and have them all indicted, and then all of a sudden some slick DC lawyer with tons of experience pokes holes in it and gets the thing thrown out? Or do you want to be meticulous, methodical, wait, go through the motions, make sure that every single I is crossed and T is crossed and every I is dotted, to make sure that you have a ironclad case? And if they can do that, and they can get a criminal conspiracy grand jury and bring it to the state of Florida, now you have an opportunity for convictions.
Amen. I think that is brilliant, because that's what I've been saying so long. All these people, it's like they need to bust a nut quickly, you know? You know, they literally, I need him arrested now. Trump's betrayed us. Like, oh my God, every 5 minutes, Trump's betraying you.
It's ridiculous.
Monday morning presidenting, as I call it, instead of quarterbacking. You know, these people, they could do better, don't you know? He's obviously working for Mossad. He's obviously working for Bibi. He's obviously working for. Shut the fuck up. How many times we need to see these people this ran out and they're charged with something, get off, and then they're getting paid millions and millions to go on CNN, MSDNC, all that other bullshit. No, we want these fuckers to feel the pain for real and to go down where it sticks. And real justice, as you said, and I'm happy somebody else is saying it, it takes time. I may not have been a lawyer, but I was a cop, and I know enough to know shit takes time. It doesn't happen on the erratic douchebag watching and jerking off Real America's Voice every day. Like, oh my God, they're not in cuffs yet. Well, you know what? It takes a fucking minute. What the fuck do you know about it? It
does take time for justice to be done right. It does take time. I still am, and hopeful and confident in the fact that they're building that criminal conspiracy. But, I'll say this, the most important case of all of them is the AutoPen scandal. Yes. That's the number one, because here's the thing. If you can prove that he wasn't running the country, which of course he wasn't, he was shitting his pants daily, right? Instead. Yeah. And so the fact that he wasn't running the country makes these pardons completely null and void.
Yes.
And if you can get a doctor, maybe 3 or 4 doctors and they could be Republican doctors, Democrat doctors, doesn't matter, but you get a deposition of him proving that he is mentally incapacitated. Now, all of a sudden, if he's mentally incapacitated, then there's no way that those pardons could be legitimate. And that means that his entire cabinet is illegitimate. And guess what else it means? It means these judicial gnats, as I like to call them. These are these lower court judges that think they have a lot of power. They think they can step in and overstep the executive branch. But then really, they're just judicial gnats. They fly around, they make a lot of noise, and then they get swatted down by the Supreme Court with the fly swatter. And that's going to continue to happen because they don't have jurisdiction and they're going to be put in their place. But they wouldn't even be there. None of those judges would even be there because they were then appointed and confirmed illegally. So that's why I'm saying the auto pen scandal in and of itself is the most important one to bring to justice.
Couldn't agree more, because that's the tip of the iceberg. There's a reason why the president keeps alluding to that, keeps bringing it up, keeps going there. He's setting the stage. He's warming you up for the show, people, because again, they talk constitutional crisis. You will see one like you've never seen before. What do you do? And I think there's been many others when you have an entire presidency that was illegitimate, as we both know that it was. What do you do? You know, I thought it was brilliant what he did with the Gulf of America, and I really wish he'd do District of America for DC, because again, change the name, what goes away? We can get into that, believe me, but there needs to be more brought out, and I believe it's going to happen. That is going to be bigger than your Epstein bullshit, and it's not bullshit, but it's going to be bigger than anything else, because that wipes the slate clean of the pedophile in chief being proven that he was not duly elected, that he was selected, he was installed. I said for years, and I pulled up the numbers on my show. You went on the official Secretary of State, DC, the government website, right? It said what? Joe Biden got 84 million votes and President Trump got 72 million votes. But they said officially 130 million people voted in 2020. Now, I could do math. Wow. They were telling you right then and there. I was in Pennsylvania. I remember watching it live on screen as it happened. PA doing what PA does, fucking shit up. But I literally seen it. I mean, we all know. That's why they went to such great lengths to try to stop us and silence us and shut you down, especially you. You know, me, I was already fucking, ugh. But with that, they don't like the verifiable proof. And something like, I don't know if he's still doing interviews, but I spoke with him once on my show. We need to find Bevins. We need to get him out there again, because I haven't heard anything from him again. And that man, I think he's another instrumental, just like there's two people, Blago, who I hated at first, and now I enjoy the hell out of Blagojevich. I think he's funny. And I remember when he went on the Celebrity Apprentice, and he did that To Tell the Truth game reality show where he took a lie detector test on live TV and everything else. I think he's an entertaining figure, but Bevins is somebody that we should really try to find an interview, because I think this again, where's the beginning? And it goes back to
he should have been the Kentucky governor.
Yes,
he won. He clearly won.
He won hands down. How do you have a radical Democrat governor, but everybody else? I mean, don't get me wrong. There's some GOP in Kentucky that are questionable, to say the least. But everybody else Republican, but a radical Democrat magically wins the governorship.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why the auto pen, like I said, is so important, because it should undo 2020 as well. It should undo everything. Really, the auto pen is the key to everything, because they said that they found the burn bags, right? And they said they're looking into that. And that really is shocking to me. You would think if all the crimes that they have committed, that they wouldn't just ask a staffer, hey, man, make sure that you burn these things. Okay, no problem, boss. And then they left them, and then they buried them somewhere in there. And remember, Cash wrote the book, Government Gangsters. He knew exactly where to look on day one, and they found all this stuff. And so again, these are the key investigations. If you're gonna get criminal charges and indictments that are gonna stick, it has to go to Florida. That's not going to work in DC. It's not going to work anywhere in Maryland. It has to go to Florida. Florida's a different animal. I talk about this all the time. The left is losing their electoral power, right? Florida used to be a swing state. It's not a swing state anymore. It's a 14, 12-point win. Ohio, everyone said where you're at now in Cleveland, however Ohio votes is how the country goes. Guess what? That hasn't been like that for a long time. President Trump won Ohio by 8 or 9 points, 2 elections in a row. So Ohio's not a swing state. Barack Obama won Iowa in 2008 and I think in 2012. Iowa was 14 points for Trump. So what I'm saying is that all these states that were, quote, swing states in the past, they're no longer swing states. Florida is ours. Iowa is ours. Ohio is ours. So our map is expanding. Their map is shrinking. And so people need to understand that. And hopefully wins, the governorship, which I think he will, in Ohio, which will just make it even better and more stronger. But a lot of these states, they are turning red. I mean, if you look at the 2024 election, the entire country went to the right 4.2 percentage points. If you take every single state, red, blue, purple, doesn't matter, 4.2% to the right. Every state. Some states went 10%, some went 1%, some went 18%, some went 3%. But on average, 4.2% to the right. So that goes to show you the country has woken up. They don't like the woke bullshit. They don't like, the trans testicle movement and all this other crazy stuff. And so it's moving in our direction. But I will tell you this, and this is a warning. President Trump and this administration have got to get two things done. They've got to get the SAVE Act, which would mandate every single state, all 50 states, or 57 states if you're Barack Obama, but I digress. But all 50 states to have mandatory voter ID in all of them. And then the other thing is you've got to redo the census before the 2026 midterms. Take all the illegal aliens out. They'll lose 16, 18 seats automatically. And let's not forget Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act is still up against the Supreme Court. And let's hope and pray they do the right thing, because if they do, now you're talking another 20 seats. We could be in a situation where we would have generational power and control of Congress for 30, 40, 60, 80, 100 years if we just do the right things. But we've got to do it now, because I'm telling you right now, if God forbid they win in 2028, the retribution and revenge is going to be on a scale that you have never seen before.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's why I laugh at the filibuster thing. Oh, but if they do it, well, Democrats, you wait. They take power, the filibuster will be gone in 5 seconds. All right. The filibuster will be thrown away. They have no problem doing it. We've seen what they've done before. But yes, that's why
the filibuster, I keep going back and forth on that one. And here's the only reason why. I agree with you that they don't have the moral clarity to keep it. And I think that they would try to take it. So if you are going to get rid of it, you better go big. In other words, you better pass every single thing, because I have a feeling that if they were ever back in control, you would have it where they would eliminate it. But remember what it stopped, not what it's been for, but what it stopped. It stopped the federal overtake of our elections with H.R. 1. It stopped statehood for Puerto Rico and D.C. It stopped so many different things in the past. So it's a touchy situation. I keep going back and forth where I'm against taking it, but I'm also for taking it. But these people, this is not, they're not Democrats anymore. Let's call them what they are. They're communists. They are authoritarian, totalitarian communists. And the authoritarian communists don't care about a filibuster or the Constitution. They see the Constitution as speed bumps, or toilet paper to wipe their ass with. Okay, let's face it. So it's a touchy situation as to what to do with that. But it doesn't seem like they're on board to do it. That's the other part. And I'll give you a perfect example of how weak suck these Republicans are. We just had a situation where a member of Congress is talking to a convicted pedophile during a hearing. And what happened? They couldn't censor that person. But now we know why. Because they made a backdoor deal that said, look, if you don't pass the censor and censor Plaskett, we won't censor Mills, right? So they scratched your back, I scratch your back, you scratch mine. That's what Washington did. And that's the sad reality. That's why Mills's censure failed, because they worked out a deal. It was already set to fail. And that's the horribleness of Washington, D.C., because they do make these deals and they don't care about us. I say this all the time. If Washington ever solved problems, they'd never have anything to run on. So they have to pretend to solve problems so that you think that they're working hard for you when they're really not. They're just jerking off. And then what happens is they solve one or two little minor things and then they run on that. and then you elect them because you think they're going to solve your problems. It's a circle jerk, okay? It's 535 members doing a circle jerk.
And the American populace, we the people, we're the pivot
men.
men.
Getting sprayed in the face.
Exactly.
Not to be graphic.
No, it's great. Speaking of graphic, I have to take this second. I want to go back to what you just said. I have to take this second. If you would be so kind, sir, I want you to show the world your shirt.
Oh, my shirt.
He's put on the show. If I had some music to play, boom! Look at that thing of beauty.
That's how monkeypox started, guys. Biden was banging heels up headboard Harris from behind, and you got monkeypox.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. I had to do it because that.
Oh, no, that's fine.
I mean,
hey, look, when you're as censored as I am and you go out in public, sometimes I'm noticed. If I have a hat on, I'm usually not noticed. But without a hat on or something, people come up to me sometimes. But normally I go out and I don't try to get noticed, but I always wear provocative and offensive T-shirts on purpose because in where I live, people are much more conservative, right? In Arizona, even though the government was stolen with KKK Hobbs and the rest of these idiots, the people are still very conservative. So I wear provocative shirts. My wife wears provocative shirts on purpose. And then we sell books to people and things like that. My book and things like that, hand out cards, whatever it might be, take pictures with people, whatever. But we're always doing things like that. Thank you. Thank you for the plug. And by the way, the book, people need to understand, if you like what's happening in Washington, my book is basically Project 2025 if it was an 8-foot tall Bigfoot, okay? Because I show and teach you exactly how to make everything permanent. Remember, there's been over 300 executive orders. Only 28 of them are permanent. And why are they permanent? Because they were included in the big, bad, beautiful bill, okay? Yep. The rest of them, they can all be reversed. My book shows you how to make it all permanent. And by the way, Roger Stone endorsed it. Alan Dershowitz, the famous defense attorney, he also endorsed it. And Congressman Paul Gosar from the Freedom Caucus wrote the foreword to it. Okay, I know that's a weird mix of people, but hey, you know, those are the people. Plus, there's a whole bunch more as well. It's an easy read, 150 pages, but it's a book that you want to read with a yellow highlighter in your hand because your jaw will hit the ground when you see some of the information that's in it. And there's a lot of legislative solutions in it, which is why I have a member of Congress that wrote the foreword to it. So I'll give you a quick, for instance. Do you know, and I'll ask you, Dan, do you know who appoints all 11 judges on the FISA court?
Well, no, I do not.
Okay. It is one person and one person only. Who do you think it is?
Oh, God. Oh, I don't know.
It is John G. Roberts Jr., the Supreme Court Chief Justice. So why would you have a court that's been around since the 1970s that literally has only denied 12 spy warrants in its entire existence? That's like a 99.9999% acceptance rate of a court that is parallel to the Supreme Court, that is rubber stamping our freedoms away. And who is the person that appoints these judges? One person, John Roberts, the rhino on the Supreme Court. And who did he have running the FISA court that signed off on Carter Page's warrants and went after Papadopoulos and President Trump? Oh, gee, maybe a guy named James Boasberg? That's right. So in my book, I say, we need to rein in the FISA court. Well, how do we do that? At the very minimum, why don't we take that away from the Chief Justice, give it back to the Senate so that they can do an advise and consent of a Senate confirmation on any of these judges? Honestly, I'd rather just eliminate the FISA court altogether. Yes. But if they won't do that, at the very minimum, allow oversight. There's no oversight on the FISA court. They are literally as powerful as the Supreme Court, and they are running roughshod over the Constitution. So in one section, I talk about reining them in by at least having them go through a Senate confirmation process. And so, you know, there's a lot of those types of things in the books and things like that.
And I'll be honest, I didn't have time to read the whole thing yet. but I literally just started. But I will say this, like literally this book, and for those who know, I don't promote shit. I don't plug shit. Yes, we have people come on Rudy's book, General Flynn's movie, that those are different circumstances, but this book is literally your blueprint as to how we could save not our democracy, this republic. And
Thank you.
It's so true. Right there, you need it.
I hate when people say that, and I correct
Me
people
too.
all the time. And I explain it like this: in a democracy, you don't have individual rights.
Correct.
In a constitutional republic, you do have individual rights. And if you want to know how we are a constitutional republic, I'll give you 2 reasons to understand it. First off, how many times does the word democracy show up in the U.S. Constitution?
Yeah.
0.
Yeah.
Not at all, not even once. Now, when you recite the Pledge of Allegiance, stop at the part where it goes, and to the republic for which it stands. And in 1787, which I put in the beginning of the book, you probably read in the introduction, when Elizabeth Willing Powell came out and met with Benjamin Franklin, and she said, "What do we have, Mr. Franklin?" He didn't say it's a democracy if you can keep it. He said it's a republic if you can keep it. So why is it then that the Democrats and Republicans in the media, both of them, and politicians and everywhere, always say the democracy? Well, I think it's pretty clear, because when they want to come and take away your individual rights, well, you lived in a democracy. What are you worried about? Right? See, that's the mind that they're doing. Yeah. And so it's really important. And I did this to Alan Dershowitz, who endorsed my book. He was on my show. He used the word democracy, and I stopped him. I said, with all due respect, Mr. Dershowitz, we don't live in a democracy. We live in a constitutional republic. I put it back up on X for you to see it and for others to see it.
It's great.
But the bottom line is we have to correct people like that, because if they still think it's a democracy, then it's going to be that much easier to take away our individual rights.
Yes. I always say democracy is your fast lane to communism. Bottom
Absolutely.
line. That's what a democracy is. And if anybody tells you otherwise, they're blowing smoke up your ass purposely with intent. So fuck them. They're your enemy. And in my lifetime anyway, there's only been one president that gave the State of the Union and said that we live in a constitutional republic. And he even said the full line, if you can keep it. And that was President Trump during his second State of the Union during his first term. And that just made my heart so freaking happy, because it pisses me off. Kind of like, I'm a Republican. I hate the Republican Party, but I actually like the Republicans for what it was in existence to be, like how it formed, the history of the Republican Party, and I think most modern Republicans today, they couldn't tell you a damn thing about how the Republican Party started, what it's about. We could take the narrative away from the left to saying Republicans are racist and this. It would be so easy. And you only have a little thing like your history to speak towards. But God forbid we do that, because that might be controversial.
Who filibustered the Civil Votes Writings Act?
Yes.
Voting Rights Act.
Yes.
Democrats. How did it pass? Republicans. Right? I mean, who called black people 3/5 of a person? Democrats.
Yep.
Who did Jim Crow laws? Democrats. Who passed the Great Society, which is the biggest welfare program in American history? Democrats. So again, Republicans have always been on the right side of history when it comes to that, especially for minorities and things like that. And none of these things would have passed without Republicans, because it was the Democrats that were holding black people and minorities and things like that down. But yet they flipped it around, because it's about this. Oh, you're going to give me handouts? Oh, yeah. Then the Republicans are evil.
Well, that's okay. Their favorite president will keep those N-words in chains for generations, right? That's how they view you, and I think enough people out there, at least our audience, even the hate watchers, which I love you all and fuck you, even they know, they're educated enough to know there's truth behind that. We don't say this just for the sake of saying it. It's actually honest, and I think more people need to speak that to power, because we're lost when you hear the Democrats always, throw out there your Nazi bullshit, your KKK and everything else, and say, why are you projecting your history and your past onto us? Because we don't own that shit,
Exactly.
That's your world. And it's disgusting. I mean, the two-party system is fucking loathsome anyway, but I still hold out hope that one day the Republican Party can go back to what it was, or how it started, or however the hell you want to call it, whatever you want to call it. Because Democrats, I just equate them to democracy, and I equate democracy to communism. It falls hand in hand. It's perfectly suited for each other. It's a perfect partnership of bullshit. Yep. And I think there's something to a lot of these decrepit scumfucks actually going to be retiring, possibly Schumer. What's her nuts? Pelosi's only going because her nephew.
Hey, I'll tell you right now, I am begging for Pelosi to come back. Absolutely begging. Have you seen this Scott Wiener psycho that's going to try to take her place? This guy is the most radical, extreme person to have ever run for Congress. I mean, and he's run a long time. I exposed him back in 2019, 2020. He runs against her all the time and loses because Nancy Bella Lugosi, as I like to call her, has been in that position for so long. Well, guess what? Bella Lugosi's no longer there doing stock tips and insider trading. Now, all of a sudden, that seat is going to be open. I hope the daughter, I hate to say it, I hope another Pelosi comes in and takes that seat, because Scott Wiener is an absolute psycho. This is someone that believes and has tried to pass legislation to allow pedophilia. That's right, pedophilia, and to have no criminal penalties for pedophilia as long as the child is 14 years old and the adult is at least 24. How sick and twisted is that? This is someone that shows up clad in leather in his Senate hearings and things like that. He likes to get urinated on by men at the Folsom State Fair. This is a sick, twisted individual. He makes Nancy Pelosi look like a MAGA America First Republican. Okay? That is how insane this guy is. And I hope to God he does not win that seat, because this is literally the most extreme person ever. I would rather have decrepit Skeletor back in than this psycho. I did a show on it the other day, blew everybody away with it.
And people don't even know who the hell he is.
No, they have no idea.
No,
Scott Wiener is his name. Look him up. He's from San Francisco, and he's been a state senator in California, for years. Yep. He is the most radical, extreme fruitcake you've ever seen.
It's sick, and I think that's why we really, really, really have to go deep and expose these fuckers and talk about this shit more so. And
we have to designate the organizations that are funding them.
Yes,
the Democratic Socialists of America, the Communist Party USA. These need to be terrorist organizations, because they are terrorist organizations. And if they are designated, as I said in the very beginning of this interview, now all of a sudden we have more tools to inspect them and look into their finances and look into their overseas connections. Now we can actually smash these organizations and make it so they can't run anymore for Congress. That's what needs to happen. How do you think Mandani came about? They didn't just wave, a magic wand. He was a DSA approved, funded candidate, as well as the Communist Party USA. And here's the other thing. CARE admits that they paid $100,000 towards his campaign. Well, I'm sorry, CARE is a terrorist organization designated by the United Arab Emirates in 2014. So now they're admitting, right, that Linda Sarsour psychopath, they are now admitting that he was funded by an actual terrorist organization. Where the hell are you, Scott Bessent? Where the hell are you, Marco Rubio? Why aren't you doing denaturalization and deportation and getting this little commie fuck out of here? I don't understand. It makes me crazy.
I know. We have to push hard, because while all these other patriots are busy, jerking each other off and fighting for who's going to get top billing at AmFest, I think it's important for us to do the hard work that they should be doing with their platforms and talk about these things and push these issues, because people do not understand fully what's coming. We are on the precipice. We are literally at a break point, because what can happen in these midterm elections. And I plan on hosting a whole shit ton. And our friends in the chat room, the MAGA Lions, they're the first ones to endorse me. I love them all. Travis and Charlene and everybody. Jason, I love you all. You're freaking amazing patriots. They have lists out there of all true grassroots independent candidates running for office. I'm going to give them a platform because we need to start putting real people out there because they are stacking the decks hardcore. And they want, either way, if Republicans maintain control, they want to have the right rhinos in to keep things status quo. If the other side gets it, we know where it's going. It's to be 2 years of impeachment. It's going to be nonstop. So that's why I think it's imperative for us to really push the true stories, the true narrative of what's going on behind the scenes, because they're counting on you not to pay attention. And all your heroes of the world, whether you like or not, is irrelevant. But the fuckers of the world and Kami Fuenteses and all these other douchebags, they're not talking enough about these things. And they know, these people know, love, hate, whatever. I'm not even giving my opinion. They're purposely not talking about the important shit like what Josh just brought up because they don't want you to know about it. They don't want you to know about these people. That's all, or they're paid to. It's either or.
Yep. Look, I'm a problem solver. I've always been a problem solver as a political commentator for many, many years. And I go to the root of the issue. Okay, you have candidates that are supported by terrorists. You have candidates that are supported by organizations that are close to terrorists. Okay, 2 + 2 = 4. Let's think for a second. Oh, I got it. How about we designate the people that are funding them that are close to terrorists as a terrorist organization so that we can take out that organization? I mean, this isn't hard. This isn't, rocket science. It's common sense.
Yes.
And so do they have the testicular fortitude to actually do these things? That's the other question.
Exactly.
And that's what needs to happen.
That's what
if they don't, we're going to have Mandanis all around the whole country.
Yes, they're pushing hard. Even in fucking Maine, they have a convicted murderer or manslaughter, whatever, some Muslim biatch,
some woman. Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, yep. And again, I talk about Maine because nobody else fucking does.
Plus, you have Nazi nipples, right?
Yes. Who will probably be the next senator from Maine?
God, I hope not.
It depends if the wench rat. If she decides that she's going to step down or just hand it over to her friend Mills, and just there's so much I learned, and I don't want to waste too much time on this, Josh, but one day we got to have a conversation. The shit that I learned about Maine is the reason why I ran, because I fucking hate politics. And I literally, though this is what we do, this is what we talk about, I see the evil for what it is. And I never wanted to run for office, but I had to because I saw nobody else with enough balls to say the things that needed to be said. And Maine, this beautiful, beautiful freaking state that up top where I have the house is dead. They've killed it purposely, intentful. They're stealing the property, the minerals, the land. They're doing tons of shit. The amount of murders and sex trafficking and human trafficking and drug trafficking that goes on up there, and everybody is in on it. The amount of people that have disappeared, have been suicided. This isn't just conjecture or me conspiracy theorizing. These are legitimate things. We've had so many whistleblowers come forward to us and we put it out there. They have no concept of what's going on there, and they count on that. They don't want the world to know. That is the heart of the deep state up there. And I go all the way back to Big Daddy Bush when he put his compound there in Kennebunkport. But right. I digress. These are the things that are not getting enough attention that, unfortunately, again, it's people like us. We have to do the hard work and put it out there for them. It's people like the MAGA Lions folks that have to put the other candidates out there because, again, no disrespect, but is fucking Steve Bannon talking about, and I got to write up in the war room about my candidacy, but God forbid we come on. But when you see somebody in public, private at an event, like a Trump International, and they're fans, they watch the show and everything else, but God forbid you go on the show and talk about your candidacy or what you're, that doesn't jive, right? My point for bringing this up is I don't even care about that because it's not about me. It's not about you. It's about saving this republic and making it sustainable and survive for the next.
And that's why we're so banned. And that's why we're so censored, because we have the passion and the balls to actually speak out and go where other people won't.
Yes.
And we've paid the price for it. I know I certainly have. Absolutely. I mean, like I said, I was on Amazon Prime. Roku television. I mean, I had millions of views. My trajectory was going way, way up. And then, like I said, within 48 hours, boom, I was ghosted from the internet almost and had to rebuild and still trying to rebuild. And now I find myself here in 2025, even in the Trump years, still having, a hard time kind of getting my name and voice back out there. So for folks that are listening to this whole thing, I would hope by this point I have shown that my chops, if you will, and my realistic truth telling is worthy of some support. So you can go to jbushow.substack.com, join if you can. If you can do an entire year, it's the best deal out there. Plus, you get a copy of the book. I do a show 7 days a week. I never take a day off because I always feel that in order for me to continue to protect this country, I know that the left never takes a day off from trying to destroy it. So I don't take a day off from trying to save it. And so you're going to get a show, at least 7 to 10 shows a week. And again, I do the Thursday show where people can interact with me that Dan was just on before this interview. And you get a copy, a free PDF if you join and become a paid subscriber. You get a free copy, $13 value of Preserving Liberty, which again, there's a lot of interesting things in there. I use the FBI and the CIA's emails in the pages of the book, not just in the reference sections, okay? I go after Fauci. I talk about, I have one section called Beagles, Monkeys, and Orphans, Oh My. Now, we know what he did to the beagles. We know what he did to the monkeys. But what did he do to the orphans? He killed black babies, orphans with AIDS at Centennial Hospital in 2004. He killed 200 black orphan babies, okay? And it's in here. RFK Jr. in his book, The Real Dr. Fauci, also talks about it as well. And so the book is not self-published. That's really important. 99.9% of the books out there is some jerk off, writing a book and sending it and doing his own thing. This went through Skyhorse Publishing. This is obviously also in connection and distributed by Simon & Schuster. So there's real things behind it. And I point that out because it went through a very extensive legal review. In other words, if something's in it that's not right or false, the publisher could be sued or I could be sued. So you are getting nothing but truth bombs in 150 pages. So check it out. Join the Substack and you get a copy PDF for free.
It's fantastic and everybody needs to do it. And again, I don't push many things for reason, but damn it, I'm going to push the good ones. And believe me, for the portion of my audience that does respect and actually support what I do and my rantings and ravings, if you will, you know me well enough to know that I don't just get behind anybody and everyone who just freaking pops up and is the next, great wet dream. This is one of the real ones. This is one of the real guys out there, the real warriors, and you need to show support. You need to back him. You need to get the book. You need to subscribe to the Substack. You need to do these things, and you need to watch the shows. And I'm saying it now, I'm calling the shot, but we're going to do some work together. Hopefully you haven't been too turned off by it because I ramble like a son of a bitch, but
No, I love it, man. It's great. I can't wait to have the show, on the network and you working with me, I'm working with you, and we're all working together. Because look, when we're truth tellers like we are, and we're not afraid of what we say, and we're not afraid of the death threats. I mean, I always tell people, hey, if you don't like what I say, send the threats to me. I give them my email address, and I'll be sure to read them when I'm on the toilet, right? That's what I always say. And the bottom line is that we are a different breed. There's a lot of controlled opposition out there that will only say a certain amount, and then they'll pull back because they've got their advertisers or they got their bosses or whatever. We don't. And maybe it's stupidity. Maybe we're just crazy stupid, but it doesn't matter. It's in our DNA to tell the truth. And we've been able to survive, Dan and I, basically on two things, okay? Balls and consistency. And when you are consistent and your message doesn't change, no matter how many years go by, you are still consistent. And by the way, a lot of my audience calls me Jostradamus because I make predictions that mostly almost always come true because I can see things developing 6 months from now, 8 months from now, a year from now, and I've been right so many other times. You'd have to join and watch my shows to see that over time, to see that I am correct. And again, I'm not bragging. It's just a reality that I know what I'm talking about, and I've been doing it for so long, and people like Dan have been doing it for so long. And when you are correct and when you are consistent with your message, people will find you. Doesn't matter how censored you are, people will find you. And that's exactly what happened with me, even when I was censored. Of course, being a public figure and having a Wikipedia site helped, because they couldn't ghost me completely, and people were able to see from that standpoint. But all the rest of the stuff I had to rebuild, and I'm still trying to rebuild 5 years later. So anyone that wants to help me with that rebuilding process would be greatly appreciated.
Fuck yeah, man. That was epic. And I appreciate your words, and you're spot on. And just, a little bit of chat room there, and, the people love you. And I think that's important. And, that's the thing, the real ones need to finally find each other, stick together, push forward, and continue to be fearless and bold, and continue to do shit that we, whether it's a pain in the ass, whether it's we don't feel like doing it, or whatever, you have to.
Just remember, the left never takes a day off from trying to destroy this country.
Amen.
We can't take a day off from trying to defend it. Period. End of story. And that's why people ask me, Josh, how do you do this 7 days a week? Because who else will?
Yeah.
If we don't do it, who else will?
Yeah.
And we have to have that attitude. You have to have that attitude.
Now, I completely and totally wholeheartedly agree, because we're fighting for what is to come. All right. Exactly. What we have now.
We're trying to prevent what could come.
Yes. We're not the ones to sit here when people say you're right, you're right, you're right. You've heard me say this 1,000 times, listening audience. We don't sit there and get excited and have put shirts out. Dan was right.
We don't want to be right.
No, we're warning you. We're reading the future. We see the trends. We see what's happening. We're putting it out there to try to warn you, to arm you with education, with facts, with some statistical backup, with whatever the case may be, because you need to know it. If you are informed, you can fight a little bit better, a little bit harder, because you have some decent info backing you up. We do the work so you don't have to, but we're arming you with truth, with knowledge. No, this isn't a fucking popularity contest. It's about putting truth out there to save this fucking country. I don't have kids, but if you have kids, you should damn well care. Even if you don't, you should damn well care, because it's so close to falling away and being taken from us. It is so close. And there's so many forces working overtime to take it from us. It's up to us. We're not trying to be the heroes of the world. We're, again, the Paul Revere's, Alex. But like literally, we're screaming truth for a reason. And we're giving you historical backdrop for a reason.
In the introduction, not even in the first chapter, in the introduction of my book, I talk about Alexander Tytler, if anyone knows who that is. That is the Scottish philosopher who came up with the 8 stages of a democracy. And most democracies, even though we are a constitutional republic and don't qualify as a democracy, but most democracies only last about 200 years. Yes. Some have lasted a lot longer, but most of them are 200. We've been around for almost 250 years. So we are 50 years past the time when we are not supposed to be there anymore. Now, we could either fold and be correct, like Tytler has obviously stated, or we could defy that. And I want to defy that. I want to see America be prosperous. I want to see it be rich. And I want to see it go many, many, many centuries more. Because if we don't fight now, then we're probably in the complacency stage. And after complacency, you end up back into bondage and slavery. And we don't want to be there, okay? And if Trump didn't win, we'd already be there. So this was a reprieve. 2024's victory was a reprieve. It was God saying, we're going to give it one more shot. After that, the left is going to continue to fight to take down this country. So it's up to us to fight against them. And right now, we are in a position to win the battle. And the fact that these feckless, ballless, eunuch Republicans don't have the stomach and the backbone to fight like they need to, Well, we've got to make sure that they do. And I said this from the beginning. Elon Musk, his best role within the Trump administration, forget Doge and all that. I mean, it's nice, it's great, whatever. No, he should have been the enforcer. He should have taken every single member of Congress and brought them into a room, tell them, take your phones away, no press, no nothing, and he should have laid down the law. You will follow President Trump's agenda to make America great again, and if you don't, I have the power, I have the money, and I have the clout to put you out. And that's what he should have done. He should have been President Trump's consigliere, okay? That's what he should have been. And if he would have done that, you would have had so many more of these rhinos get snapped right back in line, because he's got billions and billions of dollars. Hopefully he's going to spend billions in the midterms to help President Trump and Republicans. But if he would have just laid down the law on January 20th or 21st or whatever, a day after, and said, look, this is how it's going to go. You don't vote for Trump. You don't vote for this agenda. You're not going to be a member of Congress anymore. And trust me, I've got the money to make sure that you're gone. Now, that might be controversial. I don't give a shit.
Damn straight.
The bottom line is that's what needed to happen. It didn't happen. So now we have a bunch of these feckless rhino scumbags running around, and they're not all on the same page. I say this all the time. Democrats could kill a live kitten on national television. And because there's a D in front of their name, all's forgiven. We're still going to vote for them. Republicans are stupid. They'll say, no. Back in 1978 on a fucking Thursday, I didn't like the way you voted, so therefore I'm not voting with you. And Democrats win because they stick together. And that's what people need to understand. We have got to stick together. And if we do, we win. If we don't, well, then we die apart.
Perfect. Absolutely fucking spot on. You know, that's everything to a T. That's what needed to happen. And, you know, with the Elon shit, I totally agree. I know he's back in the bro world again, but, you know, too little, too late. But hey, there's still a chance to make amends and maybe do some work. But what you said is just a perfect cautionary tale and a warning to everybody, because there's so much at stake. There is so much at stake. And this division shit that they drive the wedges in between us, it's done intentionally, it's done with purpose, and it works every time. What did I say to you all for years? If we learn anything from the first administration, stop spending. Donald Trump wins his first, his election. President-elect Trump, he's betrayed us. He's not even fucking president yet, and he's betrayed you. Oh, he's not for us. He's betrayed us. And you fucking worked against him more than you worked with him. Exactly. Republicans had control of the House and the Senate and the presidency his first 2 years. Nothing was good. Nothing worked in his favor. And we got fucked every which way. And so many out there just fed into it. And I said, if
you froze up there, bud. You there?
This freaking internet, man, is something deep.
I thought I was going to have to take over the show real quick.
At least I feel confident with you doing it. It doesn't like me today. That's okay.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Right. But nevertheless, you know, it's like you think that we would learn from this, but what happens? We go right back to attack. He says something I don't agree with. You know what I do? I wait a minute. That's it. You know, so it's like literally take a second. You've seen this play out. And I ask you all, when you have Democrats, they like Josh said perfectly, they never fragment. They never divide from each other or internal bullshit, whatever. Never, right?
Nope.
Even
it's the 80-20 rule, right? 80%. If you agree with 80% and you can't agree on the other 20%, that doesn't mean that you throw out the 80%. That's, of course, Reagan's rule, right? But, it's even more than that. I mean, the bottom line is there's certain things that Trump has supported and things like that I don't agree with. I'll give you two examples. Number one, Operation Warp Speed. I think that was stupid. I think it was ridiculous. I think that, it was a poisonous, deadly bioterrorism weapon. And I'm not going to, apologize for that. And I've been proven right over time that was indeed the case. The other thing is military parades. Why the hell would you show all of your military capabilities to the rest of the world, including your fucking enemies. What are you, stupid? I don't agree with these military parades like they do in third world shithole dictatorships where they prop around their jets and their bombs and show everybody everything. Why would we do that? I don't understand that. I know President Trump is proud of America. I get it. Patriotism, all that. Keep the weaponry away. Don't show it to the public. Don't show it to our enemies. Those are about the only two real major policies that I don't like. I think everything else he's doing pretty damn good.
Yeah. And what I was going to say, literally people, have you read The Fucking Art of the Deal?
Yeah, exactly.
He told you exactly what he's going to do and how he would do it and how to play this game in the 80s.
He did.
I've said it 1,000 times. My poor wife, she hates hearing it. I did a book report on The Art of the Deal in the 6th grade. You know what? I knew who President Trump was then, and that was like a guidebook for me, right? It's not that hard to figure out, people. So take a second before you attack, because while you're doing that, you're being distracted from something else, and you're being pulled away, and your energy is being pulled away. Yes, we still have over 3 years left, thank God, but time is wasting. All right?
Exactly.
Spend more time showing some support, educating people, waking people up, appreciating what you have before we don't have it any longer. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, I could do this all night. I could keep you on forever. I know you did your show before. I don't want to keep you on longer. I feel bad. You went over an hour. I love it because I would keep you on the whole fucking show. So
yeah, no, and I appreciate it. And again, I always say this, I never know what I'm going to talk about. Like, I don't like when people are like, well, you can ask me this, but don't ask me that. Don't talk about this. And I don't want to talk about this. No. Look, if you can't get in front of a camera or behind a microphone and just talk about everything having to do with everything that's going on today, then you don't belong on the air, as far as I'm concerned. So I like the fact that I didn't know what we were going to talk about, because that always makes it best, because it's much more organic. And organic, there's nothing better than organic, right? And so it's been a great conversation. I can't wait to do it again. You want to go on some type of, weekly, every 2 week schedule with me, by all means, I'd be absolutely happy and thrilled to do something like that, because I think we have a lot of really good ideas. And I think more than anything else, for the audience in particular, this is an opportunity for them to learn about a lot of different things, and honestly, to be able to think in a different way. I say this all the time on my show. My goal is to make my audience into skeptics. I don't want you to believe everything you hear. I want you to be a skeptic. I want you to challenge and question everything, so that when you do find out that I am 100% truthful, then you'll keep coming back, and you'll keep coming back. And like I said before, the truth, along with consistency, is what wins in the end. And that winning means the win for the country. And we need more people like us that are willing to speak the truth with consistency and educate the masses.
Amen. That is a perfect closing statement. And yes, I accept that. Whether it's weekly, whether it's bi-weekly, whatever the hell we figure this out, we got to plan this. We got to war game this behind the scenes. So I'll be in touch with you over the weekend.
Perfect.
As long as the missus doesn't mind, which, by the way, I don't want to put her out there. She's just as awesome as he is. I only got to hear her like for a few minutes in the background, but she's a badass, and just like my wife. So we were very blessed. But
we're good. We're looking forward to it.
Me too, man. Thank you. God bless you, man. And brother,
God bless,
it's been an honor. And I can't thank you for having me on your show beforehand. I can't wait to be on there regularly and just being a part of it all. But seriously, we're going to make this happen. We're going to make history happen, and we're going to get you everywhere again and get back right where they freaking took you off of another way, because fuck you. We used your own system against them.
This is the book. God bless.
Get the book.
I appreciate it. Yeah. Amen. And folks, like I said, just join the Substack. It's a small amount of money for what you're going to get. No commercials ever. You're going to get the raw truth every single day. I'm going to hit you with things that you've never heard before. And again, if you look at it for the year, you can do $5 a month if you want, But for $4.08, for $49 for the entire year, you get a copy of my book. You get all my shows. You get all my past interviews with major guests. You get all my exposés. There's a lot of value there. The only thing missing on my Substack is the gun, the ski mask, and the getaway car, okay? Because it is a deal, and it is absolute highway robbery. So anyway, that's all I want to say on that. God bless you all. I appreciate everyone listening and learning, and I look forward to more. And as I always say at the end of every interview, anytime, any topic.
Fuck yeah. Love it, sir. Josh, God bless you, brother. This is exciting. Thank you for coming on.
We'll talk over the weekend.
Sounds good. Look